Alright, we're continuing through Nehemiah, and we don't have to deal with the craziness that happened at the end of last video, because I fixed it. See, the door is closed. See it there? It's closed, so yeah, we don't have to deal with that. Okay, so what happened last time? Chapter 3 was pretty much summing up all the people building the wall and recognizing all of their efforts. The only anomaly that I noticed as I read through it was verse 5 of chapter 3. Next unto them the Tekoites repaired, but their nobles put not their necks to the work of their Lord. And that's, I don't like that, but I think they're going to shed more light on it as we read further on, but that was the only main thing that kind of questionable, you know. Should be nobles, peasants, anybody who's an Israelite should be up there making their contribution. For the noble to just stand there and just, well, you peasants continue to work. I'm going to have a mojito or something, you know. That doesn't seem fair, but that was the only thing I noticed. Otherwise, it's mainly just kind of a genealogy talking about each family, their names and everything. So that's what happened last time. And we had many interactions with Jack, which was lovely. So that's where we are. So we're in chapter 4. We're going to start in prayer and we'll start reading. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time to study your word. Please teach us. Open our minds, open our hearts. Reveal to us your truth, wisdom, and knowledge. And please have all of your will in all of our lives. In Jesus' name, Yeshua. Amen. Chapter 4, Opposition by Ridicule. You couldn't possibly build that wall. Verse 1 of chapter 4. But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we builded the wall, he was wroth and took great indignation and mocked the Jews. Of course. You know why he does that? Why is he angry? I brought it up yesterday. It's a criminal element. You have no walls. Criminals can sneak out through the side alleyway anytime. You know, if you don't have walls, then you have to station troops on every single alleyway. It's going to take a lot of money, a lot of resources to do all that. You might not even have the troops. But see, here's these three scumbags, Sanballat, Tobiah, and I forget the last guy's name. Geshem, the Arabian. Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian. They're the triads of the day, you know. It sounds like a triad organization. These three are the kingpins of local criminality. You know why he's so mad? He can't continue his drug dealing. It's probably something having to do with that. That will eliminate the crime that's been allowed to just sneak in because they have no entrance, no wall, no gates, no order. If you have two entrances, a front and a back, positions troops at the front, position troops at the back, they see the suspicious guy with the bag full of heroin, you know, they can stab that guy right away before he brings the drugs into the city. Yeah. So, these guys are mad that Nehemiah is trying to create law and order, basically. He's moving in on his territory. 2. And he spake before his brethren and the army of Samaria, and said, What do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned? Come up with every excuse, but then there's always an ulterior motive. Same thing with liberals today. They say the excuse is safety, or cleanliness. So, to prevent the virus from everybody getting infected, now everybody has to wear a mask, otherwise you're a murderer. Now everybody has to wear a mask regardless of their First Amendment or their constitutional rights. Everybody has to wear a mask. What's actually the intent with all of this? It's to make the president look bad and to get him not reelected, I think. And then they're going to put more controls on us. Now they're talking about everybody's got to wear goggles. That's the key. You know why this virus keeps spreading? It's because nobody's wearing goggles. That was the whole problem to begin with. And then once we all have to wear goggles, then they're going to be like, you know what the problem was? Nobody's wearing a full body suit. Nobody's wearing a radiation suit from Back to the Future. That was the whole problem. So now everybody has to wear a radiation suit. Otherwise, they're a murderer. See? They just keep adding more shit onto it. Just like what he says. Heaps of rubbish. Heaps of bull. Sorry for the profanity. But they come up with these excuses to apply all this stuff. When really what liberals want to do is add more drugs, more crime into the city, more low-income housing, make poor people more miserable, make them kill themselves, make them overdose on drugs, make them abort all their babies. Liberalism is the end of society as we know it. Liberal Democrats are destroying this nation. That's what these guys are. These guys, yeah. Okay. 3. Now Tobiah the Ammonite was by him, and he said, Even that which they build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall. Now he's coming up with an excuse of, he's never going to get it done. Look at this. If I bring my ox up, I can knock over that wall. Just, come on, Oxy. You can ram it. He's just coming up with an excuse because they just started building like one section, and now he's coming up with an excuse. I can turn down that wall, yeah. Right? But see, Nehemiah is the example of the ideal Christian that we should all be aspiring to be. You know what he does immediately? He goes into prayer. Nehemiah answers by prayer. That's what I need to do instead of getting all negative, That's me all the time. It's too negative. I don't want to be like that, I want to be like Nehemiah. Go to him in prayer. Because, this situation, think about how outnumbered he is. He's probably got a whole army of drug dealers and scumbag liberal Democrats. There's probably a gang of these guys, And they're in there trying to restore law and order. These scumbags come around. They just want to maintain their criminality. They want to continue being kings where they're not really kings. They're just criminals. Liberal Democrats, they're just criminals. All right. Want to get the channel banned? There you go. Thank you. Nehemiah answers by prayer, verse 4. Hear, O our God, for we are despised, and turn their reproach upon their own head, and give them for a prey in the land of captivity, and cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee, for they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. The people had a mind to work, they just needed some leadership. They needed somebody to guide what their plans were. They wanted to build it, but they just didn't know how. Same thing with the bridge on the River Kwai reference, They start to build the bridge, but they're building it in the wrong spot. And then Alec Guinness points them, well, if you hadn't thrown me in that fridge, you would have found out that the correct position to build the bridge was over this way. See, now we've wasted all this time, and now you're going to have to kill yourself, Saito. Too bad, huh? Well, see, they just needed some leadership from Nehemiah. People wanted to do it. They want to build the bridge. It's a great morale boost for the men, right? Provoked thee to anger before the builders. Notice how he prays there in verse 5. Actually, 4 and 5. Hear me, hear, O our God, for we are despised. Think about that, how they're totally surrounded by all these drug dealers. And turn their reproach upon their own head, and give them for a prey in the land of captivity. And cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee, for they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. That's right. I was going to bring this up. This is something I meant to write that down and do a video on it. The line, vengeance is mine, so saith the Lord. The real Christians out there, somebody crosses you, you should really feel bad about them. And that's why God tells you to pray for them. I get really angry sometimes. And really, I shouldn't get angry. I should be on my knees immediately praying for them, for God's mercy on them. Nehemiah is not praying for that here, but so I don't know on that if I'm right or wrong on that, but I can only tell you what's happened to people who have crossed me, terrible things. And my brother recently, at his job, there was a guy that was harassing him. He had to do this long drive in the morning, and then he gets there, and he's got to deal with this guy who just treats him with such disrespect, treats him like garbage, He was getting very frustrated at this guy. He wanted to just cuss him out, but he didn't. He maintained his patience. You know what happened? God removed that guy. He's gone. Just like that. So, similar idea here, but Nehemiah is actually praying for God to, he's not necessarily saying, God, I want you to nuke them and melt them to death like in Indiana Jones, the first movie. I want you to just melt their faces off, God. Can you do that for me? He's not saying that. He's saying, Lord, I hand this over to you. I want you to deal with this. These scumbags that are just hindering our efforts. They're harassing us. Lord, I want you to take care of it how you see fit, right? Opposition by anger, the resource of prayer. 7. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites, oh boy, heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up and that the breaches began to be stopped. No more drugs. No more money. Oh, then they were very wroth. Yeah, I can see why. And conspired, all of them, together, to come and to fight against Jerusalem and to hinder it. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto our God, and set a watch against them day and night because of them. Think about that. They had to set watches if they let up on their watch at any point. These scumbags could just come in, probably try to break down the wall. They probably weren't intending to kill anybody at this point, but they were probably thinking about trying to break down the structural integrity, coming with a battering ram or something, But if you got watchmen, a couple guys with some bows, take them out, boom, 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 you're done. No more battering ram. So they had to keep a watch day and night. There's a good verse I think we're getting to where they have a hammer in one hand and a spear in the other hand or a sword in the other hand, so they have to, we're working on the wall and I'm stabbing you in the mouth at the same time. Building wall, stab, 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 stab. Sorry, I lost my spot. Opposition by discouraged brethren, the resource of faith. 10. And Judah said, the strength of the bearers of burdens is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. So they're exhausted, You gotta watch day and night for these scumbags coming and interrupting their work. And then they also probably dropped all their garbage in front of the wall. Thanks. So now they gotta clean up garbage, and they gotta watch them, and they gotta slowly build the wall, and we gotta do this, and we gotta cook food, we gotta raise our kids, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. It's probably pretty frustrating. Think about that. Put yourself in that situation. Could you deal with all that? 11. And our adversaries said, they shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them, and slay them, and cause the work to cease. Now we got death threats. Great. And it came to pass, that when the Jews which dwelt by them came, they said unto us 10 times, from all places, whence ye shall return unto us, they will be upon you. So think about that. You got the open marketplace, and then probably these drug dealers are probably on them all the time. When you turn your back, that's when you're going to get a knife stuck in it, buddy. So watch your back. Right when you fall asleep, I'm going to murder you. And think about all that. Every day you're hearing that. Could you deal with that? I probably would have died a long time ago. 13. Therefore set I in the lower places behind the wall, and in the higher places I even set the people after their families, with their swords, their spears, and their bows. You got to do what you got to do. If you want to get this done, it's also a good argument for Second Amendment, self-defense, They're disbanding the police. Are we going to be safe now? No, probably not. I probably need to buy some guns, more bullets. We're all going to have to be policemen, I think, soon. Same thing here, right? Even the average citizen is going to have to be the policeman against these invading drug dealers. 14. And I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles and to the rulers and to the rest of the people, Be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your houses. And it came to pass, when our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and God had brought their counsel to naught, that we returned all of us to the wall, every one unto his work. And it came to pass from that time forth that the half of my servants wrought in the work, and the other half of them held both the spears, the shields, and the bows, and the habergeons, and the rulers were behind all the house of Judah. They which builded on the wall, and they that bare burdens with those that laded, every one with one of his hands wrought in the work, and with the other hand held a weapon. So you got doing the hammer, and then stab, stab, stab. Hammer, stab. Hammer, stab. Or hammer, shoot bow. I don't know how you shoot a bow with one hand. Maybe you could do it. I don't know. It'd be tough. But hammer, stab. "18. For the builders, every one had his sword girded by his side, and so builded. And he that sounded the trumpet was by me. And I said unto the nobles, and to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, The work is great and large, and we are separated upon the wall one from another. In what place, therefore, ye hear the sound of the trumpet, resort ye thither unto us. Our God shall fight for us. So we labored in the work, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. Likewise, at the same time said I unto the people, Let every one with his servant lodge within Jerusalem, that in the night they may be a guard to us and labor on the day. So neither I, nor my brethren, nor my servants, nor the men of the guard which followed me, none of us put off our clothes, saving that every one put them off for washing. Intense, huh? So we labored in the work, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. Constant wolves on the horizon, just watching, waiting for a moment to break through, to ruin all their efforts. Why are we attempting to build a wall in this country? Well, you could speculate on that. They say it's to keep people out, but it's, I don't know. What have they let in already, you know? It's scary to think about. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be negative about it. I just want to pray to God that He'll be merciful to me and to us, you know, to the remnant that still is in this country, that He'll be merciful and He'll protect us. But at the same time, I think these verses indicate a common sense approach. You know, it's not like they're just, la la la, I don't need a spear because God is going to protect me. No, notice that. See, they're not like that. They don't just, oh, I don't need anything. You guys can't hurt me because I have God. No, they arm up. They got bows and shields and armor and swords. It sounds like common sense. You have invading, I treat them as invading armies. They're probably most likely drug dealers, like I said, criminals, bandits that they probably maintain some power structure within the city because all the government is corrupted now, you know. And so they want to maintain their power, their territory. So I treat them as an invading army. You'd probably come up with an argument today about, no, they're innocent little children. I'm sure that's what the prosecuting attorney against me would come up with, something like that. But that's what this situation is, though. These are invaders. This is their land, Israel's land, and this is an invading force. And you want to get the job done, you got to arm up. Same thing today. We're losing our police officers. There was a news story about most major cities are cutting their police budget in half. Are you nuts? What, are our police officers going to fight people with like billy clubs and tasers now, If the police are taken out, there's no law and order. We're in an age of lawlessness. That's what, in this situation in Nehemiah, it's a lawless area at this time. Nehemiah is going to do what needs to be done. And he's going to use common sense at the same time. I think God expects some common sense. There's an invading force. We need an army to oppose them. So all that's available is our families. We brought our families here. Woman, get your bow ready. Annie, get your gun, right? Everybody get a bow. Everybody get a spear. Get a knife. Stab that scum in the face. As you're building the wall, stab him. You got to do what you got to do. And God is blessing their situation there, and he's probably protecting them in so many ways. But I think we need to still make that first step, right? Just like with Joshua. They had to make the first step. They had to choose to go in and engage the enemy, and then God took care of the rest. Same thing with us. I think we need to prepare properly for what's approaching here. The police are being disbanded. That means I better get some guns and get ready for the siege that's approaching on my walls. If you can get a gun, maybe you live in England. Maybe you're not allowed to have a gun. Well, maybe you're going to have to get a really good katana, maybe. I don't know. Something. Got to use something. Because evil is being allowed to come in because of a criminal element. Same thing here. I think this is a criminal drug dealing cartel, probably, that's taken over the area. They want to maintain their power. Same thing happening in this country. There's a criminal element within our own government that wants to maintain its power over poor people in this country. They'll do that by any means necessary. Might even be a coup situation, like the French Revolution or Russia, Soviet Union. They're all their fall with that, or China, similar situation where communism took over that. Communism isn't good. Socialism isn't good, and so many people are openly in favor of that versus the freedoms we have. It's nuts. We're living in nut house. Same thing, Nehemiah was living in a nut house. He used common sense. He put God first, and he prayed to God for guidance and mercy and protection. But then he has to use his common sense. We don't have a standing army. All we have is our families here. So every man and woman, arm up. Get ready. Get ready.